What's the best body armors as well as different helmets and all of the best gear in the game via the bases, the white items. We're going to go ahead and go over that, and the reason why I want to go ahead and start off with a little bit of intro is I have a lot of people that may have followed for Diablo, but white items in Path of Exile are absolutely key and critical for bases for crafting or just trading the items in general because they have an item base that someone wants to use, let's say an Orb of Chance on, like the heavy belt, is definitely something that is still valuable, even though like in Diablo, I get it, the white items, the blue items, and the rare items usually aren't like valuable, but in Path of Exile, it's very different, and the white item can still hold a lot of value, specifically for, again, crafting as well as using Orb of Chances or other methods. But I want to go ahead and just kick it off really quick with the body armor. So what's the best body armors? As I want to make an update for this video because I had made one previously and they had actually updated a lot of the items. So for starters, the best chest piece is going to depend on the class that you're playing, but there's actually quite a bit of good chest piece. There's actually 5 really good chest pieces. And again, we're looking at the white items for the base for the implicit, specifically on all of these except for the slip strike. So the best are basically, there's 2 that are very similar. That is going to be the Swift Stalker coat and the Mail coat for any evasion-based build, because you're going to take one of the nodes on the tree, and that's going to give you double evasion rating. So the Swift Stalker coat and Mail coat basically do the same thing, but what they give you is reduced slowing potency of debuffs on you. That's going to be huge for any chilled ground, any temp chains, or anything that slows you down. It's reduced by 30%. It's actually a pretty good one. It's actually probably what I would consider like number 1 or 2. And in the number 1 spot here is the Slip Strike Vest. This just simply gives you the highest amount of evasion rating, which is really key in the game because you want to stack as much evasion rating as possible. If you want to maybe even scale into deflection, it's all kind of based on this number. So Slip Strike is probably what most people will consider number 1, but Mail Coat and Swift Stalker, they're the exact same, and these can also be considered number 1. Now, in kind of the number 3 spot, the Worm Scale, as well as the Armored Vest, they do the exact same thing. This has to do with increased ailment threshold for elemental damage, which means that if you take any hit based on that damage, if it was to ignite you or freeze you or shock you, it's all based on your ailment threshold. So this is an okay stat as well, but most people will consider Swift Stalker, Mail Coat, and Slip Strike to be like the absolute top tier. Now, moving into the energy shield area, it is pretty much almost always going to be the Vile Robe. If you look at some of the top tier builds, this is just, again, me using the PoE Tube Ninja and basically just seeing what everyone is running. And the reason why people run this is simply due to the high number. Usually what it comes down to as far as the bases for crafting, it's just a numbers game, and the number on the energy shield is just simply higher. However, while you're like leveling, I really didn't think that the mana regen was really that bad, but like if you really need some, recharge, I guess it's like okay too, but for the most part, it's just pretty much just this one. As well as technically the Havoc Raiment is the exact same. So these are both great bases for, again, crafting on. Now, as far as the armor bases, what is like the best one? There's a couple different ones. Honestly, these are so easy to get. They don't really hold very much value because you only need a really like a white one, especially if you're playing like Smith or Katava, which is one of like the more popular armor-based classes. You can run the one that gives you regen, so like you can run Ornate Plate or Cuirass. Again, these are the exact same as far as it goes in terms of armor, and they regen the same amount over here. But if you want the highest number value, the Glorious Plate and the Soldier Cuirass are the exact same. Again, I have no idea why they make 2 armors that are the same, that do the exact same stats, but nonetheless, those ones would also be there as well. Now, next, I want to briefly talk about helmets, because this actually holds a lot of value, and again, even if you don't want to use it, of course, you can trade. And the things that hold high value this league is specifically getting anything with high energy shield. There's a node that people take if you're playing the Lightning Arrow Ranger or any sort of evasion-based build, really, that you take that gives you a bonus of your evasion rating based on the energy shield in your helmet. So this one, again, is pretty much a numbers game as well. The Kamasan Tiara has the highest energy shield, but there's a lot of people that also like the Jade Tiara because that's a pretty cool skin, but for the most part, it's just a numbers game on this one as well. There's not too much to talk about. But the heavy belt over here, this actually holds a lot of value simply due to a good base on using Orbs of Chance. There's actually other ones if you guys want to let me know down below, like let's say the Stellar Amulet, that was a super popular one, but right now, because Headhunter is a pretty strong unique item, well, of course, people are using Orb of Chances, and like these can go for like 10 exalts, even just, again, just a basic white one. Keep in mind, there's no Scour Orb, so if you get like a blue one, it's basically not really going to hold value. Now, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the other categories here don't have implicits that really matter. So what matters more is the stats on the item, but technically what can hold more value for bases is whatever is going to have the most evasion rating, energy shield, or hybrid energy shield with evasion. Again, a lot of people this league are playing specifically the Deadeye, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of because Lightning Arrow is really, really strong, and that holds a little bit more value as the base, but as far as it goes, again, this isn't something that I would really invest into. It's not really worth like picking these up to try to sell them for a lot more. The other bases, though, they again have better value. Boots is basically the same exact thing as the gloves. There's not really like a good implicit on anything that's like, oh my gosh, you gotta absolutely grab this particular one. High item levels can be a thing, but for the most part, that's relevant with everything, so I'm not going to go over that. For body armors, we already went over that, but there are ones that can give you resistances that if you do want to go for more movement speed, again, niche builds may want certain things, but for the most part, we went over that. And then a helmet is the same exact thing. There's not really anything to mention here. It's just whatever has like the highest amount for it, but again, energy shield bases usually hold the most value because of that. Now, finally, something that does matter, the amulets. So as far as the amulets go, a lot of people do really like the stellar amulets. You can even get solar amulets. This is a really good one as well. I wouldn't say that there's a bad base other than the Crimson Amulet and the Azure are kind of what I would consider in the weaker state, but getting any sort of attributes is great. Energy Shield, Spirit is great, increased rarity, all of these are actually pretty decent. There's not really any bad ones except for Crimson and Azure for the most part, but Path of Exile is a very unique game, so there could be some niche build that does want to start stacking regen. It's a pretty small amount though, but again, sometimes with a build, any amount counts. But I would say the one that holds the most value is probably Stellar as well as the Solar Amulet, specifically Solar Amulet plus a roll of a total. Okay, this is important with Solar Amulet in particular. When it comes down to buying items, if you have a total of 60 Spirit in the prefix as well as in the implicit, like it just has to total up to 60. This has way more value than a 59. It is huge, and the reason why is there are certain things that would reserve in terms of Spirit. It needs to be specifically 60, and that is the reason why a huge discrepancy between a 59 and, again, it has to do with usually the implicit over here to make it a lot more. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with anything except for like the other two over here. Now, as far as rings, there really isn't any super bad ring. It depends on the build that you're playing, but cast speed is something that some people won't really need because everyone, again, is playing the build of the Deadeye for the most part. And as far as it goes, I would say the ones that hold the most value in terms of like trade value and people that will pick these up for base crafting, Amethyst Ring is really good. Chaos Res is so hard to get in Path of Exile 2 that I would say Amethyst Ring is probably one of the better ones, but you really can't go wrong with resistances. The accuracy one, again, in cast speed are kind of niche to whatever build that could be like an Amazon may want this, but for the most part, I wouldn't consider these like super like insanely good. Additional skill slot is something where people will kind of like glance over because most builds do not need lots and lots of skill slots. Like PoE 1, you can definitely benefit off of it, but PoE 2 not as much. But as far as it goes, I would say number 1 probably Amethyst Ring, and then the rest are kind of just there. I would say the ones that are in second place though, any sort of resistance. So Ruby, Topaz, and Sapphire are pretty solid, but again, other than an Amethyst Ring that's perfect on Chaos Res in particular with that implicit, and it's not too big. Now, as far as the belts go, let's go over the belts. So as far as the belts go, one of the most important things that you have to look at, even if it's a white base, is that you have to look at the implicit of it being 2 charm slots. You don't need 3. It's pretty much pointless now in the game to have 3 charm slots, and if you're wondering why, it's because there is a change on the update on 0.3 where now with the storyline quest you get an additional charm slot. So as long as your belt has 2 charms, you automatically get the 3rd one. So it used to be pretty expensive to get a 3 charm slot that was also good, but now you no longer need it. So what is the best belt over here? Well, this one's pretty good if it was out, but some of the items, by the way, that are in here are data mines, so like a lot of the gold items don't exist, but like this is a pretty solid one when it does come out. But then also I mentioned heavy belt, again, it's because you can or chance. That one's pretty good. Maybe you go for that, Mage Blood as well. But for the most part, again, Heavy Belt is pretty dang good for that reason. But as far as like actual in-use practicality, a Plate Belt is actually one of the best ones. If you look at most of these, I mean, having increased mana recovery is like okay too, and you know, these stun thresholds, like some of these, they're okay, but the ones that would be like the most sought after, especially for like end game stuff, is honestly the only good implicit that I would consider like worthy is really Plate Belt. And if you're wondering why, well, it just has armor, and you can get like 5 to 7% damage reduction just with this. A lot of evasion based builds, it's just free armor. It's such a small amount of damage reduction, but compared to any of these other things with like reduced charms use, some of these like, you really can't use in most game scenarios. So like I would say Plate Belt is absolutely the only good one. With the exception, again, of Heavy Belt because of the base for the chancing. Now, I'm not going to make this video too long, so I'm not going to go over every single weapon. I wanted to basically highlight the weapons as well as the jewelry mostly. However, I'm also going to have a bonus of the bows here, and the reason why is because I get it, it's another bow league. So the reason why we are only going to be using the Gemini bow here really is because it is the highest amount of damage. But it also has this. This makes this bow just the absolute S tier, and it has bow attacks, fire, additional arrow. There is nothing that can replace this. It's just impossible. Now, they used to be called expert dual string bows. If you guys have an expert dual string bow, it actually gets updated to be called a Gemini bow. But again, it's the highest amount of damage that also has that bonus. For the most part, there could be other bows that some people may have, and they could have value if they have a suffix with additional arrow, but for the most part, there really isn't anything. I guess if you're running something super niche, but basically, if you're looking at bases to craft off of, really isn't anything other than the dual string. It's too hard to give up. There's like chain also. There's another one that has chain over here. The Guardian bow. But yeah, it's not really that great. There's also this one that has reduced projectile range, maybe for some niche case uses. But yeah, to sum it up, Gemini bow is pretty much the only one that people want. So anything other than that is going to be in the trash. Anyways. Path of Exile is a very unique game. There's probably other things that could be utilized, but this is just going to be kind of a generic video to go over, like, again, the white items that you can pick up off the ground, and you can actually sell them, and people do buy white and blue items in Path of Exile, other than, like, Diablo, 3 and Diablo 4. I get it, like the white items are like terrible, why would you ever pick these up? But I had a couple people ask me like, why does your loot filter still show white items? It's because, again, bases for crafting, people do want to use those, and again, orbital chances with stellar amulets and heavy belts could also be something to consider. Anyways, that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, subscribe to that bell, as I'm going to be updating a lot of really good beginner and advanced player guides very soon on the channel. But take care, and I'll catch you exiles on the next video. Peace out.